So, as an artist, you tend to have to work a lot of completely unrelated other jobs until your art income can support you entirely. I'm still not, a full-time illustrator. I'm still in that in-between stage. But working these unrelated jobs, I have a lot of strange and funny stories. Some of which are kind of horrible, but I try to laugh at them, they're in the past, whatever. Some I've even turned into comics, but a few of which I will just be telling you in this video. So, I used to work at a grocery store, and it was a discount grocery store. So, literally all walks of life would come in, right? You had everybody from, people who can really only afford to shop here to rich soccer moms that are just trying to get a good deal. I mean, it was just a little bit of everybody. But I must ask, what is it about the grocery store that just puts a fire in people's loins? I have never been hit on so often and so aggressively at any retail job than at the grocery store. And I was not the only one. All my coworkers, male, female, you name it, getting hit on left and right. And again, just very, very aggressively. And we would joke about it all the time. We're like, what about this grocery store just makes people go crazy? I don't know what it is. So, yeah, we're just like, okay, is it, low barrier to entry, public place? Are we just that good looking, bunch of good looking young people? I don't know. Or maybe it's just because retail is a place where it's very easy to force the employee to pay attention to you. We may never know. But yeah, so let me just jump into the stories of times me and my coworkers got aggressively hit on working at the grocery store. So, one coworker had it a lot worse than I did. Good looking girl. I'm gonna be honest. Biggest booty in the land. Biggest natural butt I've ever seen. So men did not leave her alone. And this one guy kept coming in, and he was a regular because he delivered groceries, so he was here all the time. And he would just flirt with her and say weird things, but it reached a point where he got banned for basically harassing her. But I gotta say, one of the funniest things that this man said that we all still quote to this day, he leans over to our male coworker and says, "Wow, she really is thicker than a chicken." What's also funny about this is that the coworker he said this to was a gay man who had absolutely no interest in women. So my coworker is like, all right, this has to stop. And he reported him for sexually harassing mostly the one employee, but God, thicker than a chicken. What does that even mean? Of all the things you could say to describe someone's frame, why would you say that? Ugh. Anyway. So, God, I had one guy at this grocery store that would come in all the time. He worked, nearby, and he would just come by for, snacks, dinner, whatever. So he was here all the time as well. And my coworkers would always joke, oh, the one that's in love with you is here. And I was like, okay, great. Which, I'm not trying to, shade men. Men are allowed to shoot their shot. But when I'm clearly not interested, lay off. But anyway, so this guy would come in, he'd hit on me every damn time. And I remember the first time he saw me, he came up to me and he was like, "You must be new here. I would recognize you. you know, just laying it on kind of thick, like, and actually, now that I'm remembering it, it's funny, because I was talking to my friend's grandmother, she just happened to be in the store, so I'm talking to my friend's grandma, and this man just, like, interrupts what we're saying to be like, oh, you must be new here, I remember your face anywhere, like, ugh. And I just looked at him, and I was like, sir, I've worked here for 2.5 years, so, no, I'm definitely not new. And then there's just this really long, awkward silence. And then he just, like, went to go get his groceries, whatever. And it was, like, really awkward. You'd think it would stop, like, after that. No. So then he gets to the checkout, of course comes to my line. And I'm goth. I wear eyeliner. And I had, like, blue hair at the time. And I was wearing an ankh necklace. And keep in mind, we were, like, timed on how fast we rang people up. So I'm, like, blasting through, ringing everybody up, and I don't have time to talk. Like, I literally, it's busy, I don't have time to talk, you know, when I'm at the register. So, and this guy is asking me these, like, really personal questions, and, like, I just remember one of them was, like, and I just kept, like, laughing, like, oh, haha, you know, whatever, and then he was asking me about the ankh, and he was like, oh, is that part of your religion? Like, tell me about your religion, like, I want to get to know you, and I was like, so your change is gonna be $3.50. I, like, really need to help these people in line. Sorry, I don't have time to, like, give you, my dissertation on my religious beliefs. But, like, I just feel like that's not how you hit on a girl. I don't know. I don't get it. I remember, too, I've never been hit on by so many women as well at this job. I feel like women are kind of notorious for being subtle, like, when it comes to showing interest, whatever. So, let me just tell 2 times that I got hit on by women that were really funny. The first one I call the gay panic run, and the second one was just very interesting. Alright, so the gay panic run was funny because this girl comes through my line, and, like, she looks, you know, she's got, like, super short hair, and, like, she just kind of looks like she is into women. So she comes through my line. Again, I had blue hair at this time, and that was literally, like, a beacon. Women would take one look and be like, ah, bisexual. But anyway, so this girl comes through my line, and she was like, oh, you're so pretty, and I was like, oh, you know, and not to brag, but at the grocery store, yeah, you just hear it, like, a lot, and you're like, okay, whatever. And she, like, leans in, and she's like, no, you're, like, really pretty, wink, wink, like, you know, like, I'm hitting on you, and it still just kind of went over my head. It just kind of went over my head. I was busy, I have a line, I'm like, whatever, so, like, I'm not really paying attention, and then I give her her receipt, and she just kind of is like, okay, well, bye, and then, like, runs, like, physically runs out the door, and then I was like, oh, that's the gay panic run. That's, like, you were definitely hitting on me. I was like, okay. So that was, like, a little more subtle. But I think this is probably one of the craziest times I ever got hit on by anyone at the grocery store. I'm in the freezer section, and I'm, like, loading up the shelf. I'm clearing out, like, a bunch of empty boxes, like, a bunch of like, I'm just, like, working. And I remember something was stuck, so I had to, like, put my foot up, and I'm, like, yanking, like I'm doing, like, hard physical labor right now. And I'm, like, up in the freezer. Like, the door is at my back because I'm, like, up in it. And these 2 women, who I'm pretty confident were dating, they come up to me and literally corner me between, like, they're, like, in the space of the doors opening. The door will not open anymore, so I'm quite literally physically cornered by these 2 women. I'm trapped, like, in the freezer, like, between the shelf and the door and them, like, in a triangle. Like, I physically can't get out. So I'm like trying to work, and they're like up in my grill, in my business. And I'm like, hi, can I help you? like looking around, like, why are you so close to me? Like, this is just kind of, and I'm like doing like physical labor, and you're awfully close to me. So I was like, hi, can I help you guys? Like, something going on? And they're like, yeah, we just wanted to let you know you're like really pretty. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I like try to go back to what I was doing. And they're like, they do the same thing as this other girl. Like, I swear this is like how girls hit on each other. But they're like, no, like, we think you're like really pretty. Wink, wink. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm at work. What do you want me to do about it? And then also I was in like a committed relationship. It wasn't gonna happen. I will say these two women were freakishly good looking. So I was flattered, but also get out of my personal space. And then they just kept talking to me while I'm like trapped in this little triangle. And they're talking about my hair and my look and like all this stuff. And I'm just like really uncomfortable. Like you're physically blocking me. You're in my space. You're like hitting on me really aggressively. And I just kind of was like, okay guys, like I gotta like work. And like I didn't even know what to say. I literally didn't even know what to say. And they were just like, yeah, well, you know, if you're like interested, like we'll be over here. And I was just like, okay. That was so aggressive, but not as aggressive as another thing that happened to the big booty girl. This is just, oh my god. Trigger warning? This, I don't know what this is considered. Let's just say she was low-key flashed. Also have multiple stories of all of us getting flashed at the grocery store. Don't know why that was also a thing. Anyway, this isn't like super graphic, but again, if that upsets anyone, I'm just warning you. So basically, big booty girl, good looking girl. She's minding her business, and she's like loading some shelves, doing her thing. This guy comes over to her, and he's just being kind of weird, and he's wearing these really strange pants that are like trash bag material, but like clear trash. They're almost like plasticky looking. And he keeps asking her like, oh, do you guys sell belts? Do you guys sell belts? I need a belt. And she's looking around like, this is a grocery store. Like, we don't sell belts here. And then she turns and realizes the guy is like gesturing to like belt like your pants. So she looks down at his pants. Tell me why this man is wearing see-through pants in public. And she saw a little something. So she shrieked. And the man literally, like, bolted out of the store. So, like, I don't know if that was a guy with, like, makeshift pants that genuinely needed a belt, or the more likely assumption that he was trying to flash her. It was all very weird. We never saw him again. So long story short, I really don't know what it was about that store that like made people just go buck wild and hit on all of us. I have more stories, but that's all I have for this video. So, thanks for watching. I hope I didn't emotionally scar anyone.